Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be discussing the North Carolina Courage and their very dominating run throughout the preliminary round of the 2020 NWSL Challenge Cup. I'll be going over the formations, the lineups, the individual players, and who I think performed well. I'll also be discussing basically what we've learned from each game they've played so far and what I think that they can take from each game and learn from going into the quarterfinals. As always, timestamps will be in the description below, so let's get started. The North Carolina Courage played their first game against the Portland Thorns FC and they won 2-1. They came out in their typical 4-2-2 box midfield formation. They started Stephanie LeBay, Jaylene Daniels, Abby Urseg, Abby Dahlkemper, Addison Merrick, Sam Mewis, Denise O'Sullivan, Crystal Dunn, Dabinia, Kristen Hamilton, and Lynn Williams. I was actually pretty shocked that they didn't come out more dominating, considering that the only change they had to make from their formation and their lineup last year was the addition of Addison Merrick in the left back spot in place of Heather O'Reilly. I was expecting their box midfield to be more dominating in terms of possession and just the way they distributed the ball throughout the final third, and I don't really think we saw them to the best of their ability this game, but it was the first game of the tournament for them, so there's definitely going to be some rust. I think they had most of their chances from the outside flanks. In the first half, we saw Jaylene Daniels get forward a lot down that left side, and in the second half, they were able to counter on the right side most, which actually ended up leading to both of their goals. The first goal they scored because Haley Mace ended up getting the ball in the wide flank space. Megan Klingenberg got caught way too high, and Haley Mace took advantage of this and took the ball down to the end line. She had all the time in the world to pick out her cross, and she sent it perfectly to Dabinia, who just got her head on it, beat both center backs to it, and beat the goalkeeper to it. And it was just a great goal from North Carolina. The second goal they scored was basically a copy of the first goal they scored. Sam Mewis got into that space by taking a great touch around Becky Sauerbrunn, and Sam Mewis was able to take the ball down to the end line and again pick out her cross right to Lynn Williams, who just headed it perfectly into the back of the net. Again, no one was marking Lynn Williams. Now, they did get scored on. I feel like the goal they gave away was kind of a fluke goal. Lindsay Horan ended up beating Dahlkemper to the ball, got her head on it, and it ricocheted off the crossbar backwards. And Abby Urseg and Stephanie LeBay couldn't really communicate who was going to get it, and Simone Charlie ended up taking advantage of that and scored. In general, that goal could have easily been prevented if Stephanie LeBay could have just punched the ball over the crossbar, or if Abby Dahlkemper could have beat Lindsay Horan to the ball. Overall, we know North Carolina is a great team, and so we expect absolute quality and perfection from them, and I feel like this game we didn't get that. But again, it was their first game back, but overall they got a great result. The second game the North Carolina Courage played was against the Washington Spirit, and they won 2-0. They came out in their typical 4-2-2-2 box formation with Stephanie LeBay, Jaylene Daniels, Abby Urseg, Kaylee Kurtz, Addison Merrick, Meredith Speck, Carrie Recaro, Dabinia, Lauren Millier, Mackenzie Meehan, and Lynn Williams all in the starting lineup. In the first half, they actually didn't have majority of the possession, which I was kind of surprised with, but based off of the personnel that Washington has in the midfield and the style of play that they try to implement, I wasn't surprised. This wasn't anything to be concerned of from a North Carolina standpoint, mainly because although Washington had majority of the possession, it was in their own half. The Courage were fantastic in the way that they pressed as a group, and so this group press is what kept Washington in their own half and prevented them from going forward. I think they needed to be smarter in the final third. You definitely saw that Mackenzie Meehan and Lynn Williams didn't really link up at all, and in the midfield, players like Carrie Recaro and Meredith Speck didn't really send any threatening passes in to their forwards up top, and I just feel like in general Washington did a great job defensively of holding on in this half and not being able to be broken down by North Carolina's play. But that all changed in the second half when North Carolina made some subs. They put on Crystal Dunn and Sam Mewis, two phenomenal players who are absolutely fantastic for the Courage. First goal the North Carolina Courage scored was actually off of a defensive mistake from Sam Staub. She tried to slide to make a clearance or sort of sliding tackle on Lynn Williams, and the ball kind of got caught under her, and Lynn Williams got the ball and just dribbled straight to the goal with no regard for anybody. She was just like, screw it, I'm taking it to the goal and I'm going to score and no one's going to get in my way, and that was absolutely fantastic from her to have the confidence to take it from nearly halfway and to just dribble it straight to the goal. Placement of her shot was perfect. She sent it just far enough away from Aubrey Bledsoe that she couldn't really get a touch on it or make a play on it. North Carolina did a great job of taking advantage of that, and it was just an individual effort from Lynn Williams that got them the first goal. The second goal, Dabinia got the ball wide and played an absolutely perfect cross to Lynn Williams, who wasn't being properly marked by Tori Huser, and she was able to barely get a touch on the ball, but it deflected it perfectly into the bottom corner where Aubrey Bledsoe could absolutely not save that. And it was just that goal that sealed the mark on the game and was able to help them carry out that win. And just overall, Lynn Williams had a fantastic individual performance this game. Again, in terms of defense, they were tested, but not to the point to where there was much concern. And so they were able to produce in the final third. And at this point, Washington just couldn't come back. They did a great job of finishing out the game, and overall, it was a great team win. The North Carolina Courage played their third game against the Chicago Red Stars, and they won 1-0. They came out in their typical 4-2-2-2 box formation with Stephanie LeBay, Jaylene Daniels, Abby Urseg, Abby Dahlkemper, Ryan Williams, Sam Mewis, Denise O'Sullivan, Crystal Dunn, Dabinia, Kristen Hamilton, and Lynn Williams. They had a lot of opportunities, but they just couldn't capitalize on them. Chicago was able to hold on, and defensively, North Carolina actually had a handful of miscues. For example, Kalia Watt had a breakaway that she almost converted, but North Carolina was able to recover, and it was just overall they looked a little bit more shaky than we're used to seeing. But again, it was nothing threatening from Chicago in a way that was concerning, and it was just they caught them at a bad moment and they took advantage of that. I think Sam Mewis definitely came alive in this game more so than the other games we've seen from her. She was taking shots from outside the 18 that were threatening. She was having great distributive balls. She was just overall really dominating in the midfield. In the second half, North Carolina definitely took advantage of the fact that Chicago was tired. And this is a theme that we'll see throughout this tournament, is that North Carolina has reinforcements off the bench that other teams just don't have. They got a corner kick and they played it short, and Chicago didn't step quick enough. They didn't react quick enough to the short corner. Jaylene Daniels sent a fantastic ball into Abby Urseg, who just slipped in behind and got her head on it. Nothing Alyssa Nair could have done. But again, they take advantage of other teams' fatigue by bringing on reinforcements, like players like Laura Millier and Carrie Recaro and Haley Mace and Jessica McDonald, and they just have so many weapons off the bench that other teams don't have, that they're able to really come alive in the last minutes of the game just because the other team's exhausted. Overall, again, it was a great team win. I really thought for a minute that Chicago was going to hold out and get the tie, but again, North Carolina is one of those teams that their mentality is so strong that they're going to fight till the very last minute of the game no matter how tired they are, and that's definitely, we saw that in this game. The last game they played was against Sky Blue FC, and they won 2-0. They came out in their 4-2-2 box formation with Caitlin Rollins, Jaylene Daniels, Abby Urseg, Abby Dahlkemper, Addison Merrick, Denise O'Sullivan, Sam Mewis, Dabinia, Crystal Dunn, Lynn Williams, and Kristen Hamilton all starting. They came out super strong. They scored within the first 10 minutes off of a corner kick. Abby Dahlkemper sent it in. Lynn Williams did a great job of winning the initial header. It wasn't on target, and it deflected to Sam Mewis, who wasn't being marked by Anu Manu, and she just took her shot right into the goal. It went into the side netting. Nothing Kaylin Sheridan could have done, and it was just a great start from them. Now, Sky Blue was able to kind of ease their way back into the game after that strong start from North Carolina, but they weren't able to create any chances that were substantial. And in the second half, North Carolina ended up getting a goal. Imani Dorsey got caught too high up, and Sam Mewis played the ball over top to Lynn Williams, who just took it down inline again, played a perfect cross to Crystal Dunn, who got pretty lucky with the touch she had. Gina Lewandowski went to make the tackle to close down the play, but she ended up just getting beat, and Crystal Dunn was too strong for her, and she took a touch around her and it set her up perfectly, and she just placed that ball perfectly into the bottom corner. I feel like this video is going to be kind of short because I don't really have a lot of analysis to give about North Carolina in general, just because they're such a strong team. Their team identity is so strong, and they're just so good in the final third. They're so good on the counterattack, and they have players who can actually convert their chances. And they do that consistently, unlike a lot of other teams we see in this league. So I feel like everybody coming into this game expected North Carolina to win, and they did exactly that. Obviously, they're the team to beat. They're the best team in the league. They are the only team who won every single game of the preliminary round. They are absolutely fantastic. I feel like a lot of that has to do with Paul Riley. He implements such a strong game plan and a mentality to this team that we're going to win no matter what. We don't care who we're playing. And they've been able to build such a core group of players from Western New York. They came to North Carolina, and they've just built on that group of players, and they've built around that team mentality and that mindset, and they're just at a point now where they're so strong. Now, with that being said, I definitely do think they can be beat. They've been beat before, and I think especially it's different when you're playing in a game that's do or die. I definitely think there's a way to do it. It's not going to be pretty. I think Portland is who they're playing in the quarterfinals. I think they're going to have to pull Sweden in 2016 Olympic quarterfinal. I think they're going to have to play a 5-back, 4 in the midfield, 1 up top, and pray. I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be ugly. I think it's going to be dirty. I think North Carolina is the biggest candidate at this point to win the tournament. I think everybody assumes they're going to win. As much as I don't want them to win, I think they're going to. They're just so strong, and they've had this huge advantage that they haven't had to change their entire team like so many other teams have. They haven't had their key players opt out of the tournament. They have their core group of players. They have the same lineup as they did last year, minus 1 player, their outside back. That's such an easy role to fill. Although I don't want North Carolina to win, I definitely think they're most likely going to, and they deserve that. They've put in so much work to get the results that they want, and they're a fantastic team. I don't really feel like I have anything strong to say about them just because they're so good. They leave so little room for error to be discussed on. That's all for me today. Let me know what you think down below about the North Carolina Courage. I feel like fans either die hard love them or absolutely hate them. Let me know which side you're on. Personally, I'm a Portland fan, so you know how I stand on that. If you were expecting North Carolina to be better, were you expecting them to be worse? Were you expecting some players to be better? Were you surprised with some players? Do you feel like some players were lackluster? I'd really be interested to hear what you guys have to say. As always, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.